back. I hope you're having a good day. Portulacaria Afra. I call them my Dwarf Jades. Much easier to say. Real quick here before I get going. These are succulents. I keep them in as much sun as possible. I also heavily fertilize them. If you have, good eyes, you might even catch at one point it almost looks like the osmocote's on here, like it's ground cover. One of the only plants that you really almost can't burn up with fertilizer, so I do fertilize these a little more often, a little more heavy than nearly all my other trees. Other than that, I just actually did want to point out I got a new shirt here from the nursery the other day. Kind of wish that design was on the front instead of the back, but that's the way it goes. And then just a couple other thoughts here. I've been I tell people all the time in the forums that I belong to on Facebook and everything, sometimes people are like, I don't really know what I want to do with this. I don't really have time to do anything with it now, whatever. And my thoughts there are always just kind of go ahead and just let it grow and do whatever if you're not sure what you really want to do with it. And then just this morning, kind of reading through actually two separate arguments, one of them on Facebook, one of them on a different type of a forum, and people arguing over whether or not a succulent can be really considered bonsai or not. And as I was reading through it, I just kind of realized it has been a while since I've worked many of these. I did a video on a couple of them maybe 3 or 4 months ago, but then the rest of them I've just been kind of letting them grow out there, do their own thing and whatnot. And I thought, rather than wasting my time reading through this pointless argument, let me just go ahead and work on some of these guys and everything. So that's what I'm going to do today. And sometimes these arguments, if you don't like the tree or whatever, don't get one. I mean, it's kind of like somebody sitting there arguing saying Bud Light isn't real beer, but this type of beer is. Whatever kind you like, that's what you do. If you don't think these are bonsai, then don't get one. I mean, I don't know why people got to argue about things like that so much, but anyhow, I'm just going to go ahead and maybe there's a few that I might have a couple words to say, but I'm really just going to kind of work them all down pretty hard. Most of them, especially the ones that I've kind of let go like this, I'll probably start out by just kind of bringing it down to size a little bit. I am going to do a heavy chop on this one, but I just kind of wanted to demonstrate how I'm going to work each one of them. And I felt like really thinking about things. I could probably almost point out which side of these face the sun. You can probably almost tell by which direction the leaves are kind of turning towards and everything. And then also some of them are like backed up right against other plants, so they kind of get smushed on one side because they don't really have any place to go. And then after just kind of sizing it like that, if I wasn't planning any big chops, what I might do now at this point is go down lower and take out some of these super leggy pieces, which I'm going to do anyway. And of course I did all that quick just because I'm kind of sort of half making a point. Now, if I left the tree like this, one thing I just neglected to mention about my care for them, in the summer I never water them, I just let the rain take care of it. My other trees, if it doesn't rain one day, I obviously have to water them every day. In the past, I was not watering these at all over the winter time. I have started just kind of hitting them maybe once a week or something like that if it hasn't rained for a while, which it almost never rains here in the winter. Rains all the time in the summer, but anyway, I have been doing that. Amazing how quickly I went around there and didn't catch some of this real obvious stuff around the bottom there. But anyhow, if I didn't have this up someplace where, like right now, I kind of keep them where I can pretty much neglect them. And again, I said, not water them if I'm not visiting very often and all that. If I left it just like this, and actually started kind of pruning it almost as if it was a bush in my yard or something like that, I can make something with this and it would look pretty good here in another couple years if I kept on hedging it off. But I do kind of like to think a little further ahead on some of these. And if you notice right here, it kind of splits into two apexes, if you will. And I think I'd like to get rid of one of them. If there was one of them was thicker than the other one, I'd actually get rid of the thicker one, but they're both right around the same size. I don't know how well you guys can see that, where it kind of splits into two. I'm going to take one of them out and then just try to dress the rest of it up. And honestly, since they're both the same size, I think what I'm going to do is, it has the fatter trunk here, and then it just kind of continues up the same direction that way, changes direction there, is I'm going to go ahead and allow it to change directions. And so, just going to go ahead and top that off. And then now I can kind of get in and see everything a little bit better. Alright, and that's going to be just about it for this guy. One thing you'll notice today on most of these trees that I'll hit, I will leave plenty of foliage. My one, it's a theory that I have, and I got it from other people, and just I've even belonged to some succulent groups and everything. And a lot of people say that these can, in fact, handle a really hard chop. And I might do that to a few of mine, but if I do that, I'll protect them from rain until they start growing again. And my thoughts are there, and again, it's not just my theory, is that it is rainy season here. There's plenty of moisture down here, plenty enough to feed these this foliage as it is. Once it catches some sun, it's really going to start pushing out and everything. If there's nothing on there, it takes the tree a little bit to go ahead and make new buds. And if you allow it to sit out in the rain, there's a good chance it could get a little oversaturated, because that's actually how the tree is getting rid of the moisture in the soil, is by pushing it out through the leaves and everything. So if any of these today I choose to just chop down to bare wood, if you will, even though it's not really wood, I'll probably go ahead and just keep them on my lanai for a week or two until they start showing some buds again, just so they don't get overwatered. The only way you're ever going to lose any of these trees is by root rot, watering a cutting before it starts showing foliage, or perhaps freezing, which hopefully never happens here. But all right, we got this guy here. And real quick, this actually splits into, you'll be able to see it more once I get it cut down a little bit, splits into basically 3 apexes, if you will. I thought about eliminating one of them, kind of looked at it from a bunch of different directions, but since there's not a lot of big negative space on this trunk, and it's not a very tall tree, just considering how low the foliage is and everything, I think I'm going to leave all 3 of them for now, and just, see what the future brings. I can always get rid of one of them one day if I need to. Alright, and this one kind of goes in one of those lines of thinking of like, what was I thinking? But I've left this branch here. I don't know if I was thinking I wanted to make a little semi-cascade out of it one day, or a cascade. I don't know what I was thinking. I'm going to go ahead and notch it off here. And if for any reason it backbuds there, I'll just keep rubbing them out until it eventually just kind of decays. And once that piece decays, it'll just kind of fall off back to the trunk. Should be fine. But I am going to leave like an inch or so just for some dieback there. If I had the need for any more trees, this would probably make a pretty decent sized cutting here and everything. But I've got plenty of these things, and don't know what to do with half the ones I got. So I will kind of, as I'm talking about cuttings here, I'll just mention that in 2018 I basically bought 3 of these clumped together. And everything I have is basically the kids and grandkids from those 3 trees there, just from 7 years ago. So if you want to start yourself a little collection, just get a good size one and start taking some cuttings. You'll have a collection in no time. Alright, and the last one I'm going to work on today, it is my only root over rock, Dwarf Jade. Basically, sometimes I talk about my ficus and I say, you know, this is my first root over rock project. This is actually my first root over rock project. I'm pretty sure I did this before I even had anything but succulents. But rock is really dirty, you can barely see it. I keep thinking I need to maybe repot it up a little bit higher in a slightly bigger pot, and it's just not on my list of priorities to do, and so it's been suffering some neglect. I do want to go ahead and at least prune it down today, as it's getting pretty top heavy in itself. As I've been kind of looking at it, trying to decide what to do with it, I thought about cutting part of the apex off, like up in here, but that's actually, I don't know, kind of leading back over to the top of the rock. And I'd like to cut off some of the growth that's maybe leading it away from the rock, which is actually going to be this piece. And let me get my cutters for this. And that piece. So I was going to leave that and cut all of this off, but that's kind of going away. And I say away from the rock, just away from the center of gravity of the whole thing, if you will. And then now that I have that gone and out of the way, I think I might get a little more drastic even over here than I thought I would. And that is, I think I'm going to do this. This is going to change it a lot, but should kind of keep the size a little more realistic, in line with actually being able to try to show off that rock without being so tall. Alright, and honestly I'd cut it down to bare bones and nothing, kind of like I would a ficus, but I do want to leave some foliage on there. I don't want this guy root rotting out, and I don't want to lose my only root over rock. Seems to look decent from that side. Looks like a bit of a mess from this side, but it'll grow like crazy and kind of correct itself here. Should be just fine over time.